Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the only corner of the internet that peels back the glossy veneer and stares directly into the messy heart of fame. This is Secrets Behind the Stars. Today isn't about a cute detox from Instagram or a fleeting vacation away from the lens. Today is about a rupture, a deliberate, disciplined act of refusal. It is about a star who has learned every trick the game can offer, then slammed the door on the playbook. Cenk Torun, a face that has sold dreams and dramas for years, did something that shook more than timelines. He dimmed the lights on his public persona, folded the noise into a tight fist, and pushed it far from himself. No choreographed morning routine. No curated gym selfies. No breadcrumb trail of romantic snapshots for us to devour. And then, from inside that almost eerie quiet, a sentence like a lightning strike. This sheen of superficiality had begun to choke him. Was it a burst of truth from a tired soul, or a carefully placed signal to an industry that runs on metrics and mirrors? Why did brands retreat so quickly? What whispers traveled through the halls of his management office? And what place does the elusive Mahasine hold in this narrative of escape and reinvention? We're not here to skim. We are here to dive, a breath held, a plunge into the cold. And if you make it to the end, you might find yourself rethinking who Cenk Torun is, who he has been, and who he plans to be when the camera isn't rolling. Stay. Don't tap away. The most explosive truths often arrive in a hush. Before we go deep, make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars. If this kind of long-form, no-filter storytelling moves you, hit like. And if you want to stand with us, the join button is right there. Become a part of the Secrets Behind the Stars family today. Now, let's pull the thread. In the glimmering but ravenous arena of celebrity chatter, certain decisions look benign from afar, like tidying up your grid or taking a weekend offline. But inside the machinery, these choices slam gears, jar contracts, and upend expectations. Cenk's retreat from social media wasn't a mood. It wasn't a hiccup after a stray hateful comment. It felt like a vow, weighed and measured over time by a man who's watched the beast from every angle. He didn't simply archive a few photos. He stepped outside the algorithmic carnival and stared it down. It was a dare to the tabloids that scribble endlessly, a refusal of the loop that insists if you aren't seen every hour, you are already fading. He tossed away the hoarded points of digital currency that every star is told to collect like lifelines. And as Istanbul to Madrid began murmuring the same thing, was this love winning out or a war waged against the very spotlight that crowned him? The temperature around him changed. We live in an age where talent is too often measured in posts per week, where artistry bows to analytics. The conversation in boardrooms isn't, can he break your heart in a scene, but how many millions follow his breakfast? The power has shifted from the set to the feed, from rehearsal to the reel. Cenk pulled the emergency cord on a train barreling into tomorrow. And if we follow the whispers that swirl through marketing departments, his radio silence translated instantly into numbers that hurt. Brands that once lined up with lavish offers cooled. Deals that looked inevitable were suddenly reconsidered. Media sages gave it nicknames, a miscalculation, a quiet surrender, even career sabotage. But money was never the equation for Cenk's soul, according to people orbiting his life. What mattered was keeping his mind unclouded, his home sacred, his nights his own. He was ready to pay the price of quiet, even if the bill was piled high. Behind closed doors, a sentence began to travel like a secret anthem. Everyone seems to live to be watched. I just want to live. That one line explains why he doesn't hold up his phone at a concert to prove he was there, why he's not packaging sunsets into swipeable slides, and why his heart is not a content calendar. If you film the moment for validation, the moment disappears. It becomes a product, not a memory. In a marketplace that rewards overexposure, he took the opposite path, choosing texture over gloss, the weight of the real over the sweet rush of a like. You cannot talk about this pivot without the spark that helped light it. Mahasine. Meeting her didn't just nudge his status from single to taken, it altered the coordinates. She is not allergic to cameras, but she isn't fed by them either. There is a quiet storm to the way she moves, graceful, sure of herself, never brittle. Her self-worth doesn't ask for applause. And in a world that prizes spectacle, Cenk found himself telling confidants something simple and devastating. In a field this shallow, her depth knocked the wind out of me. It sounds romantic, and it is, but tucked inside is a critique of what came before. It is a shadow cast backward over old timelines and headline-making loves that sometimes felt like collaborations with chaos. Those relationships, rumor has it, were crowded affairs, with paparazzi and push notifications always elbowing their way in. Intimacy became a scene. Tenderness turned into a trailer. With Mahasine, the noise receded. The dates were not press events. The words didn't come with captions. It has the feeling of a sanctuary, not a performance. And that sanctuary has been doubling as a detox, helping him rinse out years of expectations he didn't sign up for. But even calm has an undertow. The rumor mill reports that the choice to step out of the feed shook his professional inner circle. The management chat threads, people say, filled with alarms. He was urged to return, even a little, one story a day, a photo here, a smile there. Don't be invisible. It's dangerous. People forget. And yet, Cenk held his ground. Industry watchers are squinting and reading the signs. He's entering a phase where fewer projects may appear, but each one will carry meaning for him. He will trade volume for depth, comfort for control. He will be an author of his path rather than a character in a schedule designed by algorithms. Advertising breathes visibility. If you aren't posting, some suits don't know how to quantify you. In that lens, a performer can be seen as a gap in the funnel rather than a human being. Insiders say several megabrands redirected their budgets to always-on personalities who narrate their breakfasts as if they were epics. Did that bother him? Not even close, say those around him. He's weighed checks in one hand and peace in the other, and the ledger can't compete with silence that lets him hear his own thoughts. When he admitted that the sheen of shallowness had started to strangle him, it echoed, soft, but like thunder in certain rooms. Some colleagues took it personally, muttering that he was painting everyone the same color, that he sounded smug. He didn't answer. Mirrors make people angry when they don't like what they see. And now, we pause and ask you, faithful viewers of Secrets Behind the Stars, is Cenk walking the edge with courage, or flirting with a fall? Can a modern idol survive by stepping off the hamster wheel, or is this a retirement by another name? Tell us below what you think about the Mahassine effect. The way her presence seems to have retuned his frequency, and about his decision to vanish from the daily scroll. If you want us to keep digging without compromise, the join button is the strongest way to back independent storytelling. What comes next for Cenk? Will we see his face less often but in roles that bite harder? The rumor chorus suggests a reset, quality over quantity, purpose over popular. Projects selected not because they'll trend by midnight, but because they'll matter in a year. That path could lift him in the eyes of serious filmmakers and critics while loosening his hold on the widest audience. It's a trade, the glossy badge of idol for the quiet heft of artist. Seasons change. So do crowns. Some will call this a disappearing act. Others see the shape of a man finding his coordinates after years spent orbiting everyone's expectations but his own. The headlines want to declare, he chose love. That may be true. But perhaps what he chose, more than anything, was the sound of his own voice unscripted by the feed. The oldest secret in the celebrity universe is that some stars only discover their full power when they slip out of the burning center of the spotlight and step into a softer, truer light. This isn't a simple cleanse. It's a stance, and stances cost. There are losses. Cash left on tables. Cups of coffee not photographed. Campaigns that move on. But there is something else, too. Mornings that are his, afternoons where he can be nobody, evenings that end without the itch to upload. Control is a priceless currency, one that buys back breath. And maybe, just maybe, after years of giving himself to a machine that asks for more every day, he is finally keeping something for himself. So we circle back to the big questions. Is this flight or bravery? Did Cenk choose love, or did he choose himself? Are we looking at a fling written in stardust, or did Mahasine become an anchor in the middle of a storm, holding him fast as he rewrites his rules? Gossip craves answers, tidy ones, the kind that fit in a caption. But the answers worth having often hide in the quiet between words. Cenk has stepped away from the stage we built for him, and begun living a life we aren't invited to. Perhaps that is the boldest performance of all. Thank you for coming with us on this journey through silence and signal, through the blurry line between performance and person. This has been a special deep dive by Secrets Behind the Stars. If this story of reclaiming a life stirred you, tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear that opting out is also a choice. And for those ready to enter our inner circle, the join button is waiting. Until next time, remember. In a world that shouts, the strongest declaration can be a whisper that walks away. But don't think the tale ends here. The industry is already rearranging its lenses, wondering how to sell to an audience that might be learning to respect the power of absence. Casting directors are asking different questions, trying to predict how an artist who refuses to play the daily numbers game will reshape an entire slate. Journalists who rely on the constant drip of updates are looking for new ways to tell stories without the sugar rush of hourly content. And somewhere between a set and a kitchen table, Cenk and Mahassine are designing their days, not for us, not even against us, but without us. There is tenderness in that choice. There is rebellion in it, too. Picture the quiet. Coffee cups without captions, a laugh that doesn't echo into a comment section, a walk that ends not in a selfie but in a sunset nobody else will see. Picture a script arriving because it resonates, not because its producers hope for trending tags. Picture a manager learning to say no when a deal's main demand is the intrusion. That is where we find them now, sharpening the outline of a very different career. Some fans will wait for the next flash. Others will settle in for the long story and savor the pace. Either way, the shift is in motion. The industry will adapt because it has to, and because deep down it knows what it has asked of its stars has sometimes been inhuman. There is a reason this feels bigger than one actor and one relationship. It is the recognition that visibility isn't the same as value. That being commodified is not the same as being loved. The pair at the center of this chapter. One choosing a quieter craft, one radiating a calm that doesn't beg for approval, are sketching a map for anyone tired of dancing for applause. It is not easy. It is not cheap. But it is true. And truth, especially in the glare of celebrity, still has gravity. So here's our final invitation. Tell us what you see when the lights dim. Is the story smaller without the constant updates, or does it finally fit the shape of a life? We will be here, listening between the lines, watching not for the next post but for the next choice. This is Secrets Behind the Stars, signing off for now. And if you need a last word to carry with you, let it be this: sometimes the bravest way to be seen is to stop posing and simply be.